Okay, I want to do a short video here, show my DIY power wall people, kind of how my Batrium's running and how my PIP 24 volt system's working. Right now it is at full capacity. The solar is running quite well today. We've had a sunny day. It's 7.623 so far that it's produced for the day. Right now it's pretty sunny. You got a few clouds out, running about 750 watts coming in. 2.0 amps, 100% battery charged. It's feeding back to the grid as well as supplying to the home. And I do have about half my circuits on my house backed up, so it supplies that as well as keeps my battery charged. And one thing I wanted to show you guys, and I've seen different people posting about their balancing, and one thing I've noticed to keep your Batrium from having to, your lawman's having to bypass and work so hard, what I done was I run this voltage just a little bit lower, 27.5 volts, and so that runs it right around 391 to 395. Okay, so that's my lowest, that's my highest. This is 3.95, 3.94, and I guess it's 3.94, 3.94. So those three are identical. 3.92, 3.91, which is, this is always my lowest, and 3.94. So I got actually about three of them or so. 3.94, 5, and then a 2 and a 1. So one thing I did notice too is some people will start out with a fairly even voltage as far as between their packs, and mine runs pretty much 0.04, fully charged and almost depleted. I think I've got it set down to right around lower voltage of I think on this right here I'd have to go ahead and check, but right now it's I'm staying above 3 volts, so probably 3.4 or so. It never reaches it. I mean, I'd actually have to unhook my solar and not run it for probably the next day, because it will run throughout the night and part of the next day. When I've tested my system, it pretty much takes care of my needs, and it's 10 kilowatt pretty well is what I got. I got 150 cells per pack and 7 cells in series. So I got anywhere from over 3,000 milliamp hour cells to down around 22, I think at the lowest, 22, 23. So anyways, I do recommend, if you can get the bigger cells, it's nice, and you really, it benefits you to get this balance and for it to stay throughout, because I've seen some, it starts out this way, and as they're going down, then they actually, some of them really lag pretty bad. So basically you got to stop early, because this one cell may get low, and then the rest of them still have some capacity left. But what I done on this round, which I've done on every pack that I've created, but I've changed my design somewhat. But the way I'm doing it now is I run everything through Repacker. So what I did, I tested all my cells through Zanflare and an Opus charger, and I got my capacities, wrote them on all those cells. Total here is 1,080, 150 per pack. But what I done was, as I got my cells, I would test them, get the capacities, let them set for at least a week, retest them as far as just checking the voltage. So what they're holding at, as long as they didn't drop below like 4 volts within a week or so. And of course I would actually check the internal resistance. Now the internal resistance that was showing on the Opus and on the Zanflare, for some reason, seemed to always test high. 100, 150, 200 on some of them. So I bought another tester, and I think I've shared that tester with you guys, and I'll, when I get a chance, try to maybe share a picture of it again. But it's tested much better, much more consistent. You know, I could put a battery in the Zanflare or in the Opus and do a resistance check on it, and it would be different each time, which that tells me there's no consistency. With this tester, which has 4 probes, it basically has 2 probes, and they have points on each negative and a positive, and it's just for this specific reason. And when I would test a battery, I would get the exact same resistance reading, okay? And that's why I went with it. So with that exact resistance, and it was much lower, you know, one it was like 150, 200 testing in my Zanflare or Opus chargers. This one would have like under 100. It would have 90, 80. I've had some it was 60. So, you know, big difference. And so I wanted to keep everything as low as possible for resistance, because we all know the higher resistance, that means they're going to kind of self-discharge a little bit. And of course that means they're getting closer to the end of their life cycles. So if we could keep that low resistance, that means they're the best cells. So I made a choice to stay under 100 on resistance. So I would kick out any cells that was much over 100, maybe 150, but most of them was 100 or lower. So then I sorted them all out in capacity, and so the capacities was like 3,000. Anything that was 3,000, I put those in a box. Anything that come out to 2,900, didn't matter if it was 29.7, 29.6, 29.5, 2,900, sort those in a box. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, all the way down to 22. Now, I know this sounds a little bit going overboard, but I've done that before with other packs, and I had a little bit of trouble with the packs because I was using Jehu Garcia's little PCB boards. And of course you get 7 on a board, and then you stack them up, and of course you had a balancer. Well, they just didn't seem to want to stay very balanced. And of course, you know, you're seriesing each stack of batteries, and you know, so overall it worked, but it didn't work as well. So when I started this series of batteries, and I'm using the fusing from Battery Hookup, so basically each pack was 150 cells, you know, fully charged, you know, 4.1, 4.2 volts, whatever you want to fully charge them to, and then I put bus bars on them, and then I seriesed them all out. But anyways, when I built my packs, I laid them out on my counter, and then what I would do is I would take all my cells that were 3,000 volt or 3,000 milliamp, and then I would run them through Repacker. So a Repacker would divide those cells that I had, you know, between those 7 packs. So that I would put all those cells in those 7 packs. Then I took my 2,900 cells, run them through Repacker again, and then it gave me a set, you know, of where to put those cells in those 7 packs, and just continued down. And of course, you know, I made sure I had enough to go way down to like 2,200 milliamp cells. And I had a few holes, you know, I mean, everything didn't work out exactly perfect, but when I got down to the bottom, then what I did is I had a few extra cells of the 3,000 and the 2,900s or whatever. And so I just used those to finish up the holes, which was just 2 or 3 in each pack, you know. So not really enough to make a difference, but by balancing that way, it made each pack as close to possible to the exact same capacity, because Repacker distributed that 3,000 set, you know, because I would put in 3,476 or whatever, in the repacker. I put the full number as far as, what it tested out on the Opus or on the Xanflare. And it would distribute out between the 7. And I would go through the 29s, 28s, 27, like I said, all the way down to 22. And then when I got done, didn't know what I was going to have till I actually finished the batteries up, put them all together, finished them up, got the Batrium going, and then this right here is what I ended up with. And when I run these down, they will run down. And like I said, I have ran them down to close to 3 volts per pack. And they kept the 0.04 spread. So it keeps that spread all the way down. So basically, I had that little bitty dip here, 3.9 and 3.91. See, so 3.91 is the lowest, 3.95. So that number 2 cell seems to be the only one that kind of just lags a little bit, but that's 0.04. And I think that's about as close as you can get. And if you can run all these down and it still not get any lower than 0.04, I believe that's pretty good. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I think it was worth it in the long run. And I have cycled these get cycled every day, or actually every night, and then recharged every day. And they have yet to lag more than 0.04. So I think that's a good way of doing it. If you guys are interested and got any questions, just hit me up in the DIY Power group after I post this video. And I do have some more pictures and stuff, and I will post a picture of that tester that I used. And if you got any more questions on kind of how I balance things out. And of course, this is a 24-volt system. This is a PIP, the 24, the green one, which is a hybrid. So it could actually be set up to charge the batteries if they get to very low, which I haven't had that problem. So right now I got it programmed to where it basically does all the charging off just solar. So once the batteries are satisfied and once the load is satisfied, then it actually starts feeding back to the grid. And as you can see, this right here keeps moving up. So that means it's back feeding, and it's running my meter backward at this time. So battery fully charged, load is satisfied, and it fluctuates anywhere from 600, 700 to over a kilowatt, because I got over a kilowatt of panels, 4 270 watt panels, and they're, I think, monos, but they have done really well. And you can see down here this month how much kilowatts has been produced this year so far, and total. So doing quite well. I'm happy. Monthly, see this month, and see over the last couple months is when I actually went to solar tracking. And I built a solar tracker and put all 4 panels. Used to had 2 tracking and 2 not. And you could tell between last year, this is for the whole year. So, 2019, 320. I'm almost at that now for 6 months into this year. Of course, it's not totally fair because I didn't have that for the full year. Okay, so this particular inverter, but I'll be able to compare next year to this year and get a better analysis. But of course, it will be on tracking. But I did notice a big difference as far as monthly, because I don't think I had my system up in January, February, March. I think it was around March time, April, that I actually got the tracking set up, and where it tracks with all 4. And of course, then it's just really took off, especially in June, because we just had a lot more sunnier days too. It's part of it. So anyways, but I did notice a pretty good increase, because I think all the other setups I've had, I was only getting, that I can remember, probably around 4 or 5 kilowatts in a day. You know, now I'm getting 7. I've had as high as 8, almost 9. So, and of course, the longer we're getting longer days, so that's probably why we're getting about to the point to where now the days are going to start getting shorter. So that will probably be a little bit lower, but very happy with this setup. It's pretty much hands-free. You don't have to touch anything. Power goes out. Our system stays up. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and message me or reply to the video. And we will probably put this on YouTube as well. So you guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.